Hello everyone and welcome to GPVWC. This is the round from the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and God, boy have I been looking forward to this one. This is one of my favourite race circuits of the calendar because the racing this track produces is absolutely spectacular. Welcome one and all. I hope you're all going to enjoy this as much as I certainly am. We're currently in qualifying and waiting for the first couple of banker laps to be set. It's only me today in the commentary box, but that's okay because I have my wonderful cameraman, Dat Mayer, to help take some of the load off me, and we can take you through the action as if we have the full house. Anyway, the qualifying session is beginning. And some slight intrigue with this session, which is that Owen McGorgy apparently has a 35 place grid drop. So he's out on track right now, but I'm not entirely sure why, because wherever he qualifies, it will put him to the back of the grid. And Owen, of course, is one of the top drivers in this series. So that's going to affect him, and it's going to affect his championship position. Other penalties to speak of: Patrick Rosak, 5-place penalty. Mahalia Vicentijevic has a back of the grid, and Mark Fuller has a 20-place penalty himself. So some big penalties being handed out, and the biggest one in terms of the championship is definitely that of Owen McGorgy. So, talking of the championship, it got a little interesting last time out at Azerbaijan, as we had a couple of brake failures and a couple of incidents. Chris Butcher absolutely ran away with both races and took the championship lead. Well, I say both races. Maguire did win race 1, but then had a few more issues in race 2, whereas Butcher scored a double podium, and Butcher is now on a 6-podium streak. Can you believe that? So, Chris Butcher leads this championship by 5 points ahead of Luke Maguire, and they are the two main championship contenders. The outside shots, you have Owen McGorgy, who until recently was running second in the championship, and then had two non-point scoring races in India 2 and Azerbaijan 1. So McGorgy has lost a lot of points recently. Moritz Kropp is up to 4th in the championship after podiums in the last 3 sprint races here at GPVWC, so obviously good at taking advantage of the sprint race format. And then it's Damien Kardash 5th, Tom Stevens is in 6th, and then it's Jason Muscat with 2 points scoring finishes last time out, Menno Klont, Alexander Ragosa, also 2 top 10s last time, and then George Sutton, who actually DNF'd from both races at Azerbaijan, so potentially should be higher in the championship than he actually is. So that's how the championship standings are. And one of the breakthroughs from Azerbaijan was Shimon Frelich, who scored a P3, a slightly unexpected P3 in race 2. Back to the qualifying session. The first lap was set by Kasper Michalak, and it's a 1:10.744. Now the pit lane was so sorry, the pit lane was so busy at the before the start of the session. Everyone was crowding up to get ready for the start. No one wanted to be last out. And I'm not entirely sure why, because it's not raining or anything, but I guess it's better to just go for it at the start and get the banker so that you're safe before doing anything else. Which is confusing me as to why Casper is the only driver to have actually set a lap so far, but I guess... Oh, actually he's not, it's just my timing screen was slightly frozen. Anyway, so Luke Maguire is now at the top of the order. Sorry for any confusion that caused. Seen on the stream that I missed a humongous accident, and that would have been Damien Kardash and one of the SD racing cars potentially. Now I'm not sure if either of them or both of them made it back to the pits, but there was a bit of debris on the exit of the final corner, which caught out Craig Patterson as well. You've already seen this on on the stream, so I'm bringing it up slightly late. But that was a little worrying, because as I've said in previous broadcasts, if you don't make it back to the pits, you actually can't set another lap time. That is your one and only chance. So if you have an accident or something like that, then we're in trouble. Talking of trouble, Mark Fuller spinning almost onto the racing line. And he is the other driver who was involved in that incident, and he's trying to make it back to the pits without a rear wing, which is always a dangerous situation. That was very, very worrying there. Anyway, looks like he's off the racing line now, which is a good thing to see. So, back to the session. Luke Maguire is somehow leading by over half a second, and you very rarely see that at the Red Bull Ring, because this is the shortest, or the second shortest circuit that we have in terms of lap time. I think behind Brazil, although it's very close between the two of those circuits, both of them very short in terms of lap time. In terms of distance, Monaco is shorter, although we don't race at Monaco here in GPVWC anymore. Because that was dropped from the calendar. Maguire coming to complete another lap, actually to start another lap, because that was an out lap that he was just on, I think. But yeah, fascinating to see. And he's actually not leading by over half a second. It's just that every time I say anything, my timing screen appears frozen and proves me wrong. So it's actually Butcher now on top. So the THR guys 1-2 here, Butcher and Maguire, with Butcher on a 109.366. That's impressive. And he's only just he's just coming back into the pit, sorry. So it's Butcher first, then Maguire, then Frolic, Stevens, and Ragosa, the top 5 at the time being. Maguire did improve on the first sector as he went through there. Oh, someone just improved on their lap. Mika Hakimi is now up to 5th. And I've got to admit, I have never heard of Mika Hakimi. So that's a statement of intent. Yeah, welcome into to him. Obviously he's quick. Alexander Ragosa now goes up to P4. Oh, bit of a mistake out of the final corner for Luke Maguire. I'm not sure this will be an improvement from Luke. He crosses the line, and I want to wait to see if it's just that my timing screen hasn't updated. No, it looks as if that lap was not an improvement from Luke. So Ragosa there did go up to P4 and immediately sets another fastest first sector. Trouble is, a lot of the time, drivers set laps to come into the pits because there's no point in hanging around. Moritz Kropp now goes up into 3rd. There is a big gap from the THR guys to everyone else, and I'm sure that is the case, and it's not just that my timing screen hasn't updated, because it's the same on RaceView as well. But yeah, you've got about 0.4 of a second between Butcher and Kropp. And Maguire is only just behind Butcher, pretty much almost exactly the same lap time. So yeah, it appears that THR have their setup absolutely nailed here today, and the drivers know exactly what they're doing. So I'm just trying to look to see if I do know Mika Hakimi from anywhere. I'm not sure, because he definitely hasn't done a Supercup round. so far this year. There's a chance. I'll get back to you on that. Yes, he actually did the last round of Formula Challenge, scored points in both of those races. A Malaysian driver, apparently. Rather rare in sim racing, so welcome in to Mika. Anyway, a lot of our front runners are currently in the pits, just preparing for another flying run. Well, talking of flying, Prince Butcher has just set the fastest second sector of anyone. Big mistake though, around the rent curve. That's going to cost him a tenth or two. And on a hot lap, that can cost you the whole thing. And I think it may have done, actually. Yes, it did. He lost out by just 0.2 of a second. And I wouldn't be surprised if all of that was lost in the rent curve with that mistake. It looked as if he took just too much curve, and that can always happen. Tom Stevens is being held up really badly in the final corner there. He was about to improve on his lap, and then got absolutely balked, and he's going to be frustrated at that one, because that could have been an excellent lap there from Tom. Oh, and something happened at turn 1. I had a bit of a lag spike, so I didn't see it, but it looked as if he got caught right up behind that guy. Yeah, so something going on there between Tom and another competitor. There may have also been a bit of a lag spike on the server as well, and I think that may have caught out Tom and whoever was in front of him. Anyway, Tom Stevens now up to 3rd place in the session. An improvement from him, 109.716, and Stevens, of course, 2nd in the championship. Sorry, no, he's not. He's 6th in the championship, but is one of the. No, I'm getting confused because he was 2nd a couple of rounds ago, and then of course has got 3 non-point scoring finishes in a row. Awful round at Baku. Really sucky. But anyway, you can't really help that sometimes. Into the latter stages of this qualifying session, Colin Matiak improves to P12. Not bad. In the PB Racing car. None of the top 10 currently on competitive lap times unless they've just started. Moritz Kropp there getting very out of shape, going on to his qualifying lap. As in very out of shape. That's going to cost him pretty much the whole of the next lap. A couple of tenths of a second, and when you have that at the start of a lap as well, just give up on the whole thing. Now, for some reason, I am having a lot of lag spikes on the server right now. But anyway, thank goodness for the live timing screen, the raceview.nl that most of the drivers here in GPVWC use to keep up with the leaderboards. Tom Ely there went up to P10. It's an improvement from the RTD racing car, and it's very close there in the mid pack, as it would be. It's usually extremely close here at the Red Bull Ring. But sometimes you get drivers who just seem to be the class of the field, and the THR guys are doing that at the minute. But behind them, you pretty much won't find a gap of a tenth anywhere. There's a gap of a tenth between Pacemakers and Hakim. That's about the back of the grid. So extremely close field. The only anomaly in that is the massive gap for P2. Between P2 and P3, that is. Of all, he could still improve on his time, but he's mainly in a battle with his teammate at this point. Tom Ely improves again to P5. Really well done. Let's keep watching Butcher as he comes out of the final corner, opens the DRS across the line, and improves. It's a 109.298, the fastest lap that we've seen today. He's almost a tenth faster than his teammate, and that's saying something. Mick Maguire is 0.4 of a second faster than any other driver from any other team. Oh my goodness. Let's watch Shimon Frelick now. He could break into the top 5 with this lap. That's a decent first sector through the Schlossgold. Interestingly named corner. And then into Rauch. Down towards the latter stages of the lap. It's very much a track which you can split into. And he's well into the second half now. Damien Kardash just set the fastest first sector of all, but we'll get back to that after we've seen Frelick, running very wide out of the final corner. Crossing the line, any improvement from Shimon? We'll see it in a few seconds when it registers. I don't think he did improve there. So let's have a look at Kardash, because he had a big improvement in the first sector at least. Has some traffic up ahead though. That's the trouble. His second sector wasn't great. Lost about 0.3 of a second to the THR guys. Then again, those are the THRs. And it looks as if the traffic's gotten out of his way there, so he's got rather lucky. Patterson moves up to 8. Let's see what and Kardash goes 4th, so not bad at all. Kardash will start on the second row of the grid at this rate. Damien Kardash, he 4th. And that's pretty much the end of the session, because the nature of, or the short nature of this track means that everyone can on a pole position here, followed by Maguire, Stevens, Kropp, Ely, Frelick, Ragosa, Patterson, and Gearsmakers. And I will update you on the full order once we go to the formation lap, and we get the lovely little grid graphic, which will be updated, of course, with all of the penalties that may be applied between here and there. So there we go. That is the end of the qualifying session. Hello to everyone who's watching along on YouTube, who's dropping comments in the YouTube stream. I won't be able to keep up with all of them today, but I am reading some of them. David Junt says no Jake today. Yeah, sorry about that. He's in Belgium again, and this time he's struggling with his internet connection. So unfortunately, it's only me. But anyway, that is only me and Jack Mayer who's doing the cameras today. Sean Jones says, "Oh, you've never heard of Mika Hakimi? He is the Toyota Gazoo Racing Malaysia driver and legend." Wow. Toyota Gazoo, is that real life racing? Toyota Gazoo. So I know they do have I'm pretty sure they do have a kind of Asian contingency. A few years ago, I remember seeing Toyota Gazoo racing a Prius in a GT3 class. Yes, really. In an endurance race in Malaysia. So maybe he does that kind of stuff. And Yamadok says Hakimi drives for AFP in Formula Challenge. Yeah, he did one round. So anyway, so we have a one session now, which is about 10 minutes. But to preserve my voice, we're going to go for a brief break now, and be back in about 5 minutes time for the start and the build up. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back to GPVWC. We are just about to get going for the first of two races today. This is, of course, the feature-length race, which will be close to 1 hour. Let's see our well, there you see the circuit, the beautiful Red Bull Ring circuit on the site of the old Österreich Ring, which went a little more through the forest, was a bit more rounded and sweeping and long. And, but since the 1990s, this layout has been relatively recognizable. The A1 ring and then the Red Bull Ring, it was renamed. The Supercup cars just lining up on the grid. Of course, it's the THR guys, 1 and 2. And by quite a way as well. It may end up just being a battle between the two of them, if indeed they are allowed to battle. So the formation lap about to get underway with Butcher and Maguire leading us away. Let's take a look at the grid then. We've got Butcher and Maguire 1 and 2, followed by Stevens and Kardash. They will be at the front 2 rows of the grid, and the ones you really have to look out for the overall win today. Moritz Kropp, and then Tom Ely, who was very impressive in qualifying, and then it's Shimon Frelich and Alexander Ragosa. Craig Patterson will be P9, followed by Vincent Kiersmakers. Mika Hakimi, who apparently, yes, does do real-life racing. Thank you to Mika for confirming that. And then Jason Muscat in 12th place. Manu Klont will be P13, so the two multiforces together. And then it's Colin Matiak, Vincent Gutt, and Michal Galka, who will be P16, ahead of Patrick Grosjak, Scott Sovic, Antonio Hreljanovic and Philip Koenig. In that, I always think of Simtek when I see the RTD Racing lineup, or the RTD Racing livery. Not sure if that's the point, but anyway. Kasper Michalak is P21, followed by Carlos Fernandez, George Sutton, and Michael Teichmann. Liam Brandt, then Mark Fuller, and the final 2 cars of the grid. Look out for Owen McGorgy, who will be coming through from the back. And Mihaly Vicentijevic could well pull a few surprise moves as well, but definitely McGorgy the one to look out for there. He is going to be fired up from that position, and he'll have to be because he is going to be losing a lot of points in this race, especially with the THR guys 1 and 2. Now remember, as far as THR go, they're actually 1 and 2 in the championship as well, and very, very close on points. So I would be surprised if they do outright team orders. They may well have a rule in place that, say, if one driver leads the first lap, then the other driver has to hold station until the pit stages or whatever. But I doubt that they're going to have a straight up, driver 2 move over for driver 1 style team order during this race, and it would be disappointing if they did. Maguire there's overshot his box, but it looks as if it's gonna let him start there as the it's not oh no, never mind, he has reversed a little into his grid box. So Vicentijevic will round out the grid, and the drivers are preparing for the start. 6 or 5 red lights. They'll prepare themselves at the front of the field, and when they go out, as they do now, we are underway at the Red Bull Ring. Butcher gets a better start than his teammate, and actually they'll be under attack from Kardash. Oh, there was so nearly contact there, as wide goes Stevens, and they make it through just about. That was very, very close though. It looked as if Kardash was going to tag one of the THR guys down into to turn 1. Now up towards turn 2 or turn 3. Oh, there is contact between Kardash and Stevens. They do bang wheels. They get away with it just about, but Kropp may come through to 4th here in the process. He's on the inside line, or what will be the inside line. They rub wheels again. He's still there. He looks up, almost goes into the back of Kardash, but keeps it under control. That's a well done, well executed piece of driving there. And 2 cars off at the back. It's Michael Teichmann and Kasper Michalak. So 2 cars off at the back. Our first casualties from this race. They don't appear to have their wings, because Teichmann is front wingless right now. Anyway, towards the end of the first lap, it's Butcher leading from Maguire, and I expect that is the way they will stay until at least the pit stop stages, when there may be an opportunity to change things around. But DRS, of course, will be available after the end of lap 2, and that could shake things up. Let's watch Moritz Kropp. Oh, he didn't get a great run up towards turn 2 this time. And actually maybe under attack from Tom Stevens. Stevens doesn't have the DRS yet. It's not lap 3, but he's going to take a look and decides better than to dive. Some people may have done that, and some people probably will further back in the order, so hopefully that all goes cleanly. My apologies if you can hear my dog there. Not really much I can do about that. Side by side, we've got 2 cars further back. Kia's making it. No, Rojak and Matiak. That's for P14 and P15, with Rojak on the inside, and a big dive from Michal Galka, and some wheel-to-wheel contact again. Some little wheel banging action going on there. And Galka gets the move done. A lot of drivers feeling that they can lean on their opponents in this race and get away with it. And so far, they've appeared to be able to, apart from Teichmann, of course, who's the first driver to be required to take a trip through the pit lane. Also, Liam Rance has dropped back significantly as well, so I think he probably had an incident somewhere off screen. Lap 3, DRS will be available this time around. And you see it open on the back of Luke Maguire's car and on the back of all the other cars who are slipstreaming their opponents onto... and Shimon Frelick's made a mistake. Oh, wow, and onto the grass! All over the grass goes Jason Muscat, trying to avoid him as he was slow. And Frelick getting out of the way of Muscat, possibly felt that he'd held him up and all the way down into P12 in the process. So a bad mistake there from Shimon Frelick in turn 1. And a lot of drivers caught out in that one. Kasper Michalak on the outside of, is that Philip Koenig? That is, and that's for P, one of the lower positions. Sorry that I didn't have that. It's for P24 there. Remember, points go down to P15. There is slight contact there. And those two drivers are on different tyre compounds as well, which could confuse things. Talking of tyre compounds, all of the top 10 in the starting order, of course, were on the soft tyre as usual, and the top medium-tyred runner is Mika Hakimi, as he started just outside of the top 10, and Michal Galka is also on those medium tyres, as is Patrick Grosjak and several other drivers further back. So on to another lap of the race. Moritz Kropp just went fastest of all, so he is challenging hard on Damien Kardash, trying to get alongside him. DRS active and approaching. The thing I love about this track is that the DRS zones are all back to back to back. So you end up with drivers setting up moves a few corners in advance, a few straights in advance. And but Kardash holds him off, as you can do. There are plenty of opportunities to fend off other drivers. The braking zones have little, very slight curves in them at turns, well, what should be turns 2 and 3 in a car. I think they're technically classed as turns 3 and 4, or 3 and 5, or something like that, because of the little kinks. But anyway, there are little wiggles in the braking zone, which make it definitely possible to fend off your opponent, even if you are side by side. It's an excellently designed track for racing. And talking of racing, Kropp once again with the DRS open on the back of Damien Kardash, once again getting close. Now, rather than going for a dive here, he would be better suited to getting a switchback and slingshot on the exit. Although I tell you what, Tom Stevens got a much better exit there, and Stevens didn't lock up the tyres to the same extent that Kropp did. And once again, they stay... Whoa! Big slide from Kropp! He's really misjudged that! And Stevens may get a drive on the exit. He's going to be alongside him. He's to the right-hand side, the outside. And he goes right around the outside, Nigel Mansell style, and makes it stick. Beautifully done. Tom Stevens is up to P4. That was expertly done. Talking of expertly, Owen McGorky is now up 10 places from his starting position, and it's only lap 5. He's up to P17, not yet in the points, but that is a wonderful start there from Owen McGorky. Helped slightly by the incidents, of course, but he's kept out of trouble. And that's what matters at this point. So, now that Tom Stevens is free from Moritz Kropp, can he approach Damien Kardash and go for a move? He's got the DRS open. Is a little too far back this time around. Just saw some yellow flags waving, and there's just been a swap actually, as Menno Klontz lost out to Jason Muscat. So I wonder if Klont had a brief off or something. That's speculative. Carlos Fernandez also off the road now, and didn't hit anything it seems, but Fernandez has had a spin and has had to reverse out of a bit of a situation there. Oh, and there were other drivers involved, sorry. Owen McGorky was involved. So it was Owen McGorky who got hit up the rear. So he'd just overtaken Michal Galka, and they came together in turn 1. And then it was as Galka rejoined that they caught out Carlos Fernandez. So some trouble going on there. That's a shame, because McGorky was doing such a good job to get those positions back. And now he is back down into P20. Through an incident that wasn't his fault, I would say, because he was hit up the rear. Interestingly, Maguire now within half a second of Butcher, so if they are going to be allowed to fight in this race, now is the time that we're going to see it. I'm going to keep a close eye on them on the exit of turn 2 this time around, because once again, Maguire is very close to Butcher. Let's see if he tries to unsettle his teammate down into the Schlossgold. Not this time, and it kind of looked as if he was being a little tentative, a little reserved, and that's understandably so. You don't want to be fighting your teammate hard for the lead of the race, Hamilton Rosberg style, but I'm sure that Maguire will secretly want to take the lead away from Butcher, and will be waiting for the first opportunity, the first mistake from Butcher, or maybe the pit stop stages, as things could still change in there. I expect that Chris will get the first call in terms of strategy, whether he wants to pit sooner or later, because he of course is leading this this race. If he does decide to pit sooner, it'll be tougher for Maguire to pass him, as Butcher will have the softer, the faster tyres. If Maguire can take advantage. Oh, and look, sorry, Moritz Krop there almost touched the back of Tom Stevens. Took a little look into turn 2, a very late, very speculative one. Saw that he left the door open. Meanwhile, Mihalis Vicentievich lost a couple of places on the exit of turn 1 there, drops to P22. Galka up past Sutton, trying to recover from the incident that he suffered with Owen Magorgi a lap or two ago. Kardash isn't really letting the leaders get away. In fact, his last few laps have been significantly quicker than the THR guys. And he's bringing Tom Stevens with him. But Moritz Krop had the first lap of the race, because just then Damien Kardash said it, and he is very nearly within DRS range of the THR guys. So they've got to get a wriggle on if they do have more pace in their pocket. Now is the time to find that. Now is the time to pull it out. 110.717 from Kardash. And a move for P11. Klont and Frelick side by side, touching on the exit. Very lucky not to properly lock wheels. It's so easy to get tangled together in an open-wheeled machine. Klont is on the inside, makes it stick. And a switchback. Wow, I love the way you can do that at that corner. Frelick not able to go around the outside like we saw from Stevens. And almost gets muscled onto the gravel. I think he would have done if he'd tried to keep it alongside there. Oh, slight touch for Magorgi there. Magorgi tried to overtake Scott Soberg, and there was a little misjudgment between the two of them. They're lucky to get away with that one. I think something just happened to George Sutton. He's had a spin from P21. A close fight with some other drivers, so possible contact there. Nope, just did it by himself by the looks of things. So Sutton down into P25, I'm afraid to say. Now back up in front, Luke Maguire just set the first lap of the race, so obviously responding to the pressure from Kardash behind. Kardash's lap was slower than both of the THR guys that last time around. He's not yet in the DRS range. And I said that would be a good time to pull out some pace if you were the THR guys, and they both have, because even Butcher improved on his lap as well. And I believe the two THR cars may have the fastest 2 laps of the race now, because Butcher's lap not even half a tenth of a second slower than Maguire's. Let's see what the lap times are this time around. It's pretty fast from all of them. Let me just update my timing quickly. And the fastest of the 3 leaders there was Chris Butcher by quite a way, actually. About 0.3 of a second he gained. Tom Stevens still with Kardash. Krop still with Stevens. He for third. That's probably the most exciting battle at this point in the race, and the one most likely to change. Further back, still Rorschach and Klont fighting. Klont is about to go to the outside of Rorschach. I know you've been watching this on the stream. Vincent Gutt very wide in the background, allowing Colin Matiak through to P14. And Klont goes for it again on the inside. That would have been ambitious. That's where Magorgi touched with Cervik a lap ago. And a quick update on that, Magorgi is now ahead of Cervik. Cervik is actually behind Galka as well. So Magorgi back up to P18. A big chunk of time taken out of Damien Kardash there on that lap. So Kardash didn't have the greatest of laps. Actually, his last lap was pretty good. Oh no, it wasn't. It was invalidated. So he must have had a brief off somewhere, and he's lost about a second. So he's now 2 seconds behind Maguire. And he's lucky that neither Stevens or Kropp were able to have a go at him that time down into the Schlossgård, because that was very close. Muscat up to P9, passing Hakimi. Klont now side by side with Rorschach again. Lucky not to come together, because that's where they so nearly did a lap ago. And Rorschach has to let him go. Better in the Multiforce driver. A pretty quick driver. I've been more impressed with his consistency recently, especially at Baku. Around the outside comes Rorschach. There's no way through that. That's the rink curve that just doesn't have the angle for it. Big slide from Rorschach. Opens the DRS for the first of the 3 DRS zones of the lap. There's another one coming up now. And if he can't pull a move in this one, it's okay, there's another one immediately following that, which he can set up for. He's going to go for it now, surely. Goes to the outside. You saw Klont was ready for it, Klont defended. Rorschach was fully ahead, but there's 2 cars coming through on the inside. Like a freight train. Covers off Rorschach. Matek, sorry. And takes another look at Klont, who might sail straight on. Rorschach gets the switch back, but that's going to be another stalemate. Oh, they're close on the exit, aren't they? Oh, that was very close. They touch. They get away with it. Not entirely sure how, but they just about do. And once you get into Rin, oh, and they do touch this time, and it's worse. It's a lot worse. Somehow neither of them go for a complete rotation, and somehow they're about where they were on the track, but Vincent Gutt was able to pass both of them. Really good opportunistic driving from Vincent Gutt, and a good save from both of those drivers. No idea how they didn't go for a big spin. Rorschach inventing his own racetrack on the outside there. And finds the inside. That's what he couldn't do a lap ago. And drives up over the crest. Big twitch! Touches the front of Klont's car. These two can't be happy with each other right now, surely. And I've got to say, I can't apportion blame onto either of them more than the other, because they have been beating each other up and getting in each other's way for lap after lap. And really, neither is worse than the other here. To be honest, this is what we like to see. This is the ragged racing we're used to seeing from Supercup. And both these drivers very good. Another yellow flag just showing briefly, but I don't think it's any of our front runners. Maguire there got very close to Butcher. That's the closest he's been yet. And I think if he didn't go for a move on that lap, that pretty much shows that they're being ordered to hold station, at least until the pit stop stages. And if they're not being ordered to, then maybe it's a gentleman's agreement between the drivers. Or maybe it's just common sense that you don't want to go side by side at this point in the race. There's not really much point. You're just going to hold each other up and prevent the advance of your race. Vincent Kiers makes into the pits, but the instant that caused the yellow flags was actually Kasper Mikulach. He is missing his front wing somehow, and that was on the exit of the Schlossgård, where he spun up the rear tyres and hit the wall. So he's now in as well. Anyway, he was running P27 already. He will now be P28 and stone dead last, I'm afraid. Butcher and Maguire still close, but don't appear to be fighting. Kardash, Stevens and Kropp still close, and they absolutely are fighting. And Stevens showing himself to Kardash's mirrors. That's a statement of intent. Big twitch from Kardash. This could be Stevens' chance. Stevens will have the DRS. He's got a better run out of turn 2. He takes a look to the inside. Forces Kardash offline. Kardash knows he's there. And Kardash gets the traction. That's not going to be it though. That's definitely not checkmate in that fight yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if it changes very, very soon. Meanwhile on Magogi Watch, he is up to P17, so it's past someone or other. There was also another brief yellow flag, but I didn't see exactly why that was. Look how close Maguire is to Butcher now. They have some traffic coming up. Tom Ely into the pits, one of our first front runners to pit, and this is about where I would expect this to happen. So I'm not hugely surprised by that, and that's interesting because it means others are going to start reacting. Often you're just waiting for the first person to jump, and then it's all reaction. And a move, and the leaders are swapping. THR and Maguire takes the lead from Butcher, and it looks as if Butcher didn't really fight him there. In fact, they weren't really in a battle until the braking zone, so it looks almost as if Butcher let Maguire through. That really is fascinating. And that's not to do with the championship or anything like that, because Butcher is ahead of Maguire in the championship. Maybe Butcher just thinks it's Maguire's turn to lead the chain and help them pull away from the others. Fascinating stuff. Maguire does now lead the race. Why is another question. Stevens and Kropp both into the pits, and I'm really not surprised by that because they were both being held up by Kardash completely fairly. But now both trying to pull the undercut at exactly the same time. Alexander Ragosa also into the pits from the top 10. They will both be on medium tyres now, as you have to use both compounds over the course of the race, as per the rules. Now, I presume that swap with the THR guys was planned, because it certainly looked pretty planned to me. Why they would do that at this point in the race, since they weren't really... It's not like they were behind a driver on the same lap, so it's not like they were giving one a chance to have a swipe at the other, but maybe they just feel that Maguire's faster and deserves to go ahead. Stevens there passing Antonio Frelenovic as he exits the pits. And actually, Stevens, although he has come out ahead of his teammate, showing just how big the disadvantage of starting down the field is, Magorgi's right there. Magorgi will be staying out longer because he started, of course, on the medium compound of tyre. DRS for Magorgi. Frelenovic is his victim, or intended victim. DRS once again, but the trouble is Frelenovic has it from Stevens, and in an ironic twist, Stevens is actually holding up his teammate Magorgi a little here, simply by not breaking away from Frelenovic quick enough. Frelenovic in a satellite sandwich, which sounds rather appetizing actually, between the two HGP Motorsport cars. And Magorgi, that's a really good run actually. He'd be brave to try it into there. Frelenovic got very sideways mid-corner though, feeling the pressure. And wouldn't you, with Oren Magorgi breathing down your neck? Everyone knows how quick he is here. He's not third in the championship for nothing, especially considering he's had those poor results recently. It shows how quick he was earlier on in the season. And he still got that pace. It's not like he lost it. He just had some dodgy luck in the last few rounds and a few little mistakes as well. Just realised my timing screen refused to update again, so I'm going to check if anything changed. Well, McGorgy's just got up the inside of Kralinovic and through. Neither of the THR guys have been in yet, although Kardash has, and Stevens has as well. Stevens has come out safely in front of the people, or Kardash has come out safely in front of the people he was battling with. Krop dropped back, didn't he? Yeah, Moritz Krop appears to have lost some time in the pit stages there. Okay, apparently he had a long pit stop, apparently to repair some damage, or maybe to repair some damage. We don't know for sure. Jason Muscat now in the pits from P6. Mika Hakimi is now third in the order. He is one of the drivers still yet to stop. But interestingly, the THR guys are possibly going the longest out of any of the soft runners, and that is of course because they have the clean air in order to benefit from that. So Luke Maguire he just set the fastest lap of the race, and it looks as if he's coming in, and Butcher doesn't. Now that may be why they swapped them actually, because with Maguire pitting earlier, he needed to build up some time to be safer, but then again, I may be completely making that up right now. So Chris Butcher temporarily leads this race by a big margin over Mika Hakimi, but that of course is because, and Hakimi's in. Now it's interesting to see that Hakimi's in on the same lap as Maguire despite starting on a harder tyre compound. Shows you how well the THR guys did there actually. Especially considering that Luke Maguire is now second and still relatively comfortably ahead of Patrick Rojak despite having made his pit stop, and he's gained time. He's gained a lot of time there over Damien Kardash. So much time they got a car between them, Patrick Rojak. Into the pits comes Butcher from the lead. Let's keep an eye on that and see if it goes cleanly. And Butcher will be hoping he didn't lose too much time on those older tyres there. Not that it'll matter much. The only thing that can really change here is the order of those two teammates. He's about to swap tyres. He's on the hards, and we'll go to the end of the race on those. Where is Luke Maguire? He will probably go through to take the lead here. He's on the outside, and through he goes. So Luke Maguire leads the race, followed by his teammate Chris Butcher. Butcher keeps ahead of Rojak, and that's exactly what he needed to do, because he will not be held up now. Meanwhile, Aaron McGorky also pitted that last time around. He will be going onto soft tyres and now begins his real charge, because he can begin to attack on the fastest tyres possible. Kralinovic just got passed by Ragosa. Now that's to be expected. Ragosa has pitted and Kralinovic has not. Moritz Krop will come through shortly, I expect, unless Kralinovic pits on this lap. Now, are the THR guys going to be allowed to fight from here, or is it going to be multi-21 Seb? Krop just went around the outside of Kralinovic. That was pretty impressive there, actually, between those two. Not bad, not bad. Slightly more expected than Stevens' move around the outside earlier, since he does have a tyre advantage, but anyway. Rojak now in, so Kardash back through into third place, and the gap between him and the THR guys is now 7 seconds. So the THR guys, clearly the class of the field today. I'll be interested to see what they can do in race 2, because there's one thing being faster than everyone else, and another thing overtaking them. So if their car struggles in dirty air, for example, they might struggle in race 2, but we'll soon see. Meanwhile, McGorgy's in the points. He has pitted, and he's now in P15. And I would be surprised if he doesn't reach the top 10 before the end of this race at the rate he's going. Keep an eye on him. I also wonder whether the THR guys might switch back towards the end of the race, since they switched earlier and it looked relatively planned. Maybe there's an agreement that they'll swap back, but then again, it wouldn't make sense as to why they'd swap in the first place. Interesting stuff down there at THR, and and they did swap. They have swapped. Butcher's on the inside and goes through, so Butcher leads the race again. And he just set the fastest lap of the race last time around. So I imagine they probably put themselves in the order that was most convenient for their strategy. And now they've swapped back. That may have also been a straight up overtaking maneuver there from Butcher, because Maguire did make a slight mistake at turn 1. Ran wide and over the curb. So maybe it was just that they are being allowed to fight, and Butcher was able to pass him. So well done to Chris Butcher. As a unit, the THR guys are still absolutely winning this race. 9 seconds now is Butcher's gap back to Kardash. Meanwhile, Kardash did pull out a bit of a gap ahead of Tom Stevens. And the top fight for honours is between Ragosa and Kropp, after Kropp dropped back behind Ragosa in the pit stages. And that is for P5. Kropp will have the DRS. I'm looking forward to seeing Kropp in the sprint race, because being P6, he's in a very good position for the reverse grid pull, whatever number is drawn. He's taking a look. Ragosa feels the need to go defensive. The difficulty is, if you go defensive, you can often end up making a mistake, missing your braking point, getting offline, and allowing your opponent the advantage on the exit of the corner. And that was almost what happened there. That's close. The skies are getting very dark, aren't they? It's a little worrying. Keep an eye open for any drops of rain you might witness. That may just be me. Anyway, Kropp chasing Ragosa and making a slight mistake. That wasn't the greatest of lines through the final corner. The DRS should neutralise that mistake, but that may mean he has to go another lap. Again, sorry about my dog, but that may mean he has to go another lap for pulling that move. Let's see if everyone's okay further back. We have actually we've lost 2 drivers from this race now, I'm afraid. Michal Galka is out. He was struggling earlier on. He had some incidents that we did see. He had one with Owen McGorgy, of course, and then was struggling to gain time after that. And it looks as if he's had an accident somewhere a few minutes ago. It was actually about 10 or so minutes ago, so sorry that we missed that. Oh, he someone spun in front of him. I think that may have been, is that Kasper Michalak? And he went straight into him and lost his rear wing. And after you lose your rear wing, it's very hard to recover from that, because your car handles absolutely awfully. And it was actually, yes, it was Michalak. And actually, Michalak himself is out of this race. So 2 retirements, and it is those 2 that who I just mentioned, having that incident. So, Butcher and Maguire have some traffic now. Let's keep an eye on that to see if it stays clean. It's an ST racing car, I think, unless I'm very much mistaken. My dog is very excited about something. It's the pain of not having a commentary studio, but anyway. And the back marker has got out of the way, so both of the THR guys through absolutely cleanly. Oh, and Crop's passed Ragosa for P5. Yeah, we missed that. But yeah, Crop indeed is up and past Ragosa for P5 in this race, and that happened down into the Schlossgård. And it looks as if he just pulled a standard manoeuvre up the inside, and it worked beautifully. So, well done. The order has changed. And McGorgy now up into P14. We'll now have the DRS from Menno Klont up in front. So another overtake imminent, I expect, for Owen McGorgy here. Opening that DRS for the first time. You feel like a tiger on the prowl when you're in a situation like McGorgy's. Ragosa's just got back past Crop. He went up the inside and passed Crop in a very similar way to the way that Crop got past a lap ago. Very nicely done. And that keeps the fight alive. Often, of course, if a driver can get past their opponent, it means that they're faster, and it means they can start to pull away. And their opponent really has maybe a lap to show their intention to keep the fight alive. Otherwise, it's all over. And this time, Ragosa has managed to keep it alive and take that P5 back. Let's see what Crop does. Can he do it again? He's done it once. He knows where Ragosa is weak. It's interesting to see that Ragosa passed him in the same place on the track, because obviously that means that neither of these drivers has a significant advantage over the other. Mistake from Ragosa, goes wide at turn 2. Gets a decent exit, but he will be vulnerable to Crop's DRS. Crop to the outside, so doesn't find a gap on the inside. Being the driver on the right who's made it stick the last few laps. And this time it looks to be the same story. And there we go. Still not over yet, but that's going to hurt for Crop because he got so close. A brief yellow, but it appears that all of the noticeable drivers in this race are okay. Maybe just a slight off for someone. What about this time around for Moritz Crop? Through turn 1, past the exit curb. That really nasty sausage curb that catches so many people out. Has not caught out either of these two today. Big lockup from Crop there. Very nasty lockup. And R-Factor 2 does simulate tyre lockups, does simulate flat spots, so maybe it'll affect him. Hopefully not. So Crop taking another look, but that's the wrong point on the track. You've got to wait until the DRS straights, unless your opponent makes a significant mistake. You can try to force your opponent into a mistake. That's what Crop's been trying to do these last few laps. Meanwhile, I can see we're watching Klont versus McGorgy there. McGorgy's just got past Menno Klont. So his next target will be Patrick Rojak. He's a little way up the road. Not sure he will break into the top 10 actually. I said that I thought he would earlier, but he'd need some quite significant change in fortune right now. And actually, it's not Grosjean who's his next target. It would be Jason Muscat. But actually, Jason's 12 seconds up the road. So I think P13 may be Magorgi's best. It's a shame for him because it means that he won't have a chance of getting the reverse grid pole. And he's going to have to continue his charge through the order in race 2. Rather than being elevated to the front. That is a bit of a shame actually, because don't get me wrong, he's done a really good job in this race, but he would have been hoping to do better at a track where you can overtake, such as this one. Prop and Ragosa looking close once again. Out of the final turn. Prop takes a very different line to Ragosa. Ragosa likes to keep it smooth. Prop likes to fling it in there and find the traction wherever he can. And they seem to be relatively evenly matched through there actually. And then once you get onto the straight, it's all a matter of who's in front and who has the DRS advantage. This time it's Krop. Didn't get a good enough exit to get alongside his opponent. And yes indeed, Tom Ely is right there, isn't he? So this is a three-way fight for fifth. And you can see the little graphic there on the bottom right saying exactly that. Nice. There's Krop and Ely. The 3 cars separated by about 0.8 of a second. That's when you know it's a ferocious battle. Ely hasn't quite got his nose stuck in yet. He hasn't quite got involved, although he is right there. And you saw on that last lap what I meant by the difference between Krop and Ragosa's lines. Krop pretty much drives that corner sideways, doesn't he? Really not that many opportunities left. We're on the penultimate lap of the race now. And at this circuit, of course, it's really, really short, so that's pretty much no time at all. The lead is so close. Surely it's multi-21 at this point. Or multi-1-2 or whatever. Because at this stage, I mean, it's late in the race, you don't want to be going for any desperate overtakes. I'm a little surprised that they're staying that close actually, because the sweet spot when you're running with your teammate tends to be about 6 to 10 tenths of a second. You don't want to be much closer, because if they make a mistake, then you can be a little caught out by it. And if you're further back than that, you lose the DRS, of course. Final lap of the race now for Butcher and Maguire, and it looks as if it's going to stay the same, unless we see some Austria 2002 situation, but I don't see why that would be the case. Butcher is ahead of Maguire in the championship, and of course they're fighting in terms of the championship. Krop took another look at Ragosa there. It'll be about the exit for him. This may be his most important exit of the race. To the inside. Thought about it, he really did, and that may be his last opportunity unless there's a mistake for Alexander Ragosa. And Ely was not able to get stuck in the end. He struggled to keep the DRS. Anyway, final corner coming up for the THR drivers. Chris Butcher is going to finish in pretty much a formation finish with Luke Maguire. Fantastic work from both of the THR guys. Butcher wins, Maguire second. But really, the winners of that race were the team themselves. Damien Kardash will be P3, best of the rest. And very well done. Tom Stevens, P4. Then it's Alexander Ragosa, fending off Moritz Krop and Tom Ely. Just about. But really had to work for that one. Craig Patterson is P8. Then it's Shimon Frelich. Mika Hakimi, P10 on his Supercup debut. Great job from Mika Hakimi there. Patrick Grosjean will be P11, followed by Jason Muscat. Owen Magorgi I think there may have been a chase there, actually. Let me see if I can update my my timing. Yeah, so it was Muscat, then Magorgi, actually. So Magorgi was P12 in the end. Rojak was only P13, so he must have had a spin or something. Kralinovic was P14, then it was Vincent Gutt, and that was the end of the point-scoring finishes. After them, Menno Klont just missed out, then it was Philip Koenig, Carlos Fernandez, Liam Rance, Scott Sovic, Mihaly Vicentijevic, Mark Fuller, Colin Matiak, George Sutton, Vincent Kiersmakers, and Michael Teichmann, and the two DNFs were Michal Galka and Kasper Michalak. 21 of those drivers finished on the lead lap, and for a track this short, that's actually rather impressive. So, the first race is over. Damien Kardash is doing donuts out there, so he is very, very excited with his P3. And so he should be, actually. That was a very good drive from Kardash. And considering the dominance of the THR drivers, I think third was about as good as he could have done that. That's his third podium of the season, and his second feature race podium in a row after he finished third in race 1 at Azerbaijan as well. Now, if you're not used to Supercup, let me tell you that we do have another race coming up, so don't go anywhere, and it will be a very exciting one because it's shorter, so you have more incentive to push harder. It's also going to be a partially reversed grid, so the a number will be drawn between 6 and 10, and that will decide the how many cars are reversed at the start of race 2. So if it's 8, for example, the driver who finished 8th position, so Craig Patterson, would end up starting on pole, and you get the picture for any position between 6 and 10. Apparently it did rain lightly in that last race towards the end, and I thought it might have been, because it certainly looked pretty dark, but it didn't get heavy enough to affect the race significantly. So that could be interesting. Keep an eye on the skies for race 2. And we're going to go for a quick break now, but don't go anywhere, because we will be right back for race 2 in just a few minutes. Welcome back to GPVWC, and this is Supercup from Austria. If you've witnessed race 1, you'd have witnessed the beginnings of some light rain, and I can tell you it has got a little heavier, it's got a little greasier, but it's interesting because not everyone is on slick tyres right now, and not everyone is on inters. Some are on slicks, some are on inters, and that's making it so interesting. And I've just seen it crash actually, someone's crashed on slick tyres. This is getting really spicy. In this warm-up session, and actually I would now say that most of the drivers on track are on those inters. You can see there's a dry line on the racing line, and you don't see spray coming up from behind the cars when they're on that. But as soon as they get off the line, you start to witness the spray kicking up behind the cars, and that's the most fascinating stage for a race, because then you have the question of, do I start on slicks and just keep dead straight, absolutely on the dry line, or do I not risk it? Do I start on inters and hope the rain stays or gets heavier? Now, the last time that GPVWC raced at Austria, there were some striking parallels to this race. You had a dry race 1. And then a wet race 2, and that was actually 3 years ago now, in 2018. That was the last time that Supercup raced there anyway. We have had academy races since. And in the last Supercup race at the Red Bull Ring back in 2018, Ben Stupanek in the Green Stripes car came from the very back of the grid to win race 2. Because he, of course, started on wet tyres and didn't have to pit, whereas some of his opponents did, and just drove an excellent race. So, I guess if the same thing happened today, then you'd expect to see someone who retired in race 1 coming through to the front. But that's unlikely. Yes, drivers from behind will take risks, but even the drivers up in front will have the same choice of whether to start on dry or wet tyres, and either way it'll be a little bit of a gamble. I'm not sure what the weather radars are saying. I'm not sure how it feels out there. Only the drivers on track know that. All I can tell you is that I'm pretty sure the top time in this session was set on slick tyres, but that was a little while ago before it started to get a little bit wetter. So the race is about to begin. We've ticked over into the race session, and I'm fascinated to see which tyres do people go for. Will there be drivers on slicks? Will there be drivers on inters? And what will be the ratio of the two of those? Not everyone's out on the pits yet, so we can't on the track yet. Sorry, so we can't yet tell. So 24 laps coming up for you here at the Red Bull Ring, and possibly the most fascinating 24 laps of your life. Out onto the grid, the multisports cars. Tom Ely will be on pole, by the way. The reverse grid number that was chosen was P7, and that means the top 7 drivers from race 1 will be swapped, and the THR guys will have to come through from 6th and 7th on the grid. And I can imagine that until they get to the front, if they do get to the front, it will be they will be allowed to race. So away we go on the formation lap. Here is the grid. We have Tom Ely starting on pole. Well, on my screen, he's on 4 wets, and so is Moritz Kropp. Alexander Ragosa is P3, and then Tom Stevens is P4. I wasn't expecting 4 wets, but it looks as if most of the front runners are on those tyres. Then it's Damien Kardash, Luke Maguire. Race 1 winner Chris Butcher is on inters. He's the top driver on inters. My goodness, this could get fascinating. Craig Patton is P8. Then it's Shimon Frelich. Mika Hakimi's on slicks. So we have some drivers on full wets. We have some on slicks. Then it's Jason Muscat and Owen McGorgy. P13 is Patrick Grayshak. Then it's Antonio Kraljanovich, Vincent Gutt, and Menno Klont. And Philip Koenig will be P17 ahead of Carlos Fernandez, who's on slicks, Liam Rance, and Scott Sobek. Mihailo Vicentjevic has decided to start from the pit lane, so I expect he wasn't happy with the tyres that he went out on the formation lap, and will start from the back on a new set, and it's Mark Fuller, Colin Matiak, George Sutton, then Vincent Kiersmakers. Michael Teitman will also start from the pits on Inters, it appears. Michal Galka is on slicks, and then it is Kasper Michalak who will round out the field. So those are the 28 drivers. 26 of them, by the looks of things, will take the main grid. And there are drivers on slicks, there are drivers on inters, and there are drivers on full wet. And actually, I should correct myself about the leaders. They are not on full wet. It's just that my game had not updated itself yet. And actually, I'm not sure if any drivers are on full wet. Carlos Fernandez is coming into the pits, and that's because he was on slicks and isn't happy with them. So he is coming in. Yes, I don't think there are any drivers on full wets after all. It's just that my game had not updated itself yet. Anyway, once again, we will have the 5 red lights. When they go out, we will commence with a fascinating 24 laps of the Red Bull Ring. Will it get wetter? Will it get drier? Oh, they are on full wets. Sir, no they're not. Okay, I'll update you on that in a bit. And it's go! Away we go at the front. Tom Ely leads away. We actually have 3 drivers starting from the pits. 4. Ely leads into turn 1, and it looks clean up in front. Ragosa will be second. And they all get through there as far as I can see. Further back, drivers in the spray, out of the spray, trying to jostle for position. The drivers who started from the pits are rejoining the circuit at the rear. 3 wide in the middle, Maguire making contact with Stevens and Kardash. Somehow we didn't end up with a Singapore 2017 moment there. That could have been really bad. They just about get away with it. Further back, Hakimi appears to be dropping back slightly on his slicks. That's to be expected. And is he running wide there? Yes, running very wide on the curb. That's treacherous. And a whole chain of cars coming through. So Hakimi's struggling. Slick tyres are not the tyres to be on right now. Some people's tyres appear to be changing right as I look at them, which is a little disconcerting. I think that no one is on the full wets. Even though I've seen a couple, I think it may be wrong. Carlos Fernandez, I think, may be on full wet, so he is probably the only driver who is. So, slicks very much not the tyres to be on right now. Ely leading on the inters, but spinning! Ely spun from the lead! Ely's lost it! And through goes Alexander Ragosa to take the lead of the race. That's gutting. Tom Ely, well, Jack Mayer, my co-commentator, not co-commentator, my streamer, was saying before the race that he was very impressed by Ely's pace. Ely does the setups for the THR team, so maybe it shouldn't be so unexpected. But sadly, he's lost his opportunity to lead this race for more than just a lap. And it's the first lap rather than the lap that matters, I'm afraid. So up front, Ragosa versus Kropp appear to be setting up to do battle. Then behind them, there's a little bit of a gap to Kardash and Stevens. And then Butcher, of course, for P3, 4 and 5. And Butcher, our race 1 winner, is ahead of Luke Maguire in these early stages. So that is a change of position because Maguire started ahead, and it looks as if Butcher will be extending his championship lead today if that stays the same. On to lap 3, the gap between the leaders was about 0.6 of a second as they crossed the line, but Ragosa was fastest of all, so will he begin to pull away? No DRS when drivers are on wet tyres, of course, so we don't expect to see drivers opening up their rear wings and getting an advantage through that. Was that a change of position I saw further back? Magorgi is side by side with Frelich. Magorgi is up into the top 10 for the first time today. And now will be up into the top 8 if he can keep it on the inside. Makes it stick. Well done. Could Owen get a top 5 today? What about a podium? That would be ambitious, but we know he's quick. Let's see if Magorgi can catch Patterson. Patterson is his next target. Behind them, Kralinovic and Muscat side by side for 12th. Kralinovic gets it. Muscat coming back on the inside, has to back out of it. Incidentally, the Vicente Jevic, who started on slicks, has not changed on to Inters, and Carlos Fernandez, who started on wet tyres, appears to be struggling just as much on those. Oh, that's because he hasn't got a front wing. So Fernandez has had an incident somewhere. That's a shame, and that was at turn 1. Appeared to loop it around while fighting with... Is that Michal Galka? Yes, it is. So into the wall he went. Galka is still on his slicks too, but doing slightly better than the other drivers on slicks. Fascinating stuff. Krop got a lot closer to Ragosa there. Closer to Ragosa. And set the fastest lap of the race so far. We've only had a few laps, so that's not saying that much, but even so, significantly faster than a lot of the other drivers on track that last time around. Catching Ragosa, possibly dropping back a little in the second sector, and Stevens now side by side with well, Stevens is up to third. So Stevens has passed Kardash to get up into third position, and that's because Kardash actually made a mistake, got very wide, got over the curb and slid the car sideways, so now he has been passed for that third position. And Ragosa took fast lap back away from Krop in that fight for the lead, and those two are actually getting away from the rest of the field here, possibly helped by that mistake from Damien Kardash, but they do appear to be getting away right now. So it's 5 for third. We've got Stevens, Kardash, Butcher, Maguire and Patterson all right there. Patterson has dropped back a little actually, so it's more like 4 for third. Patterson is in his own battle with Owen McGorgy there, and that's going to be a tough one to win with the pace that McGorgy has been showing so far in this race. And McGorgy is not already through. Sorry, I thought I saw a change. Oh, Kardash is off at the same corner that he made a mistake at a lap ago. Kardash drops 8th, 9th, 10th. Goodness, he keeps dropping. That is a big shame for Damien. He was running third earlier on, but just had a big twitch. And actually, Tom Stevens was lucky not to run into the back of him there. But Kardash is now P11 after it's all sorted itself out. Big shame for him. And Stevens sets the fastest lap of the race, so obviously not thrown off by the... And Maguire's ahead of Butcher, so Maguire swaps places with Butcher, gets up to P4. So the two THRs have swapped. Yellow flags. I always get a little nervous when I see those in conditions like this. It usually means that someone's had a little incident, and this time it was Tom Ely again. And once again it was at turn 1. He's kept his wings, but he's had a spin. Also, Mark Fuller's just spun as well, but continues on. Fernandez is out of the race. We saw him running around without a front wing just now, and obviously he's had enough. So that's the lot for Carlos Fernandez. Still 27 drivers remaining, and surprisingly, all of them on the lead lap, despite the fact some of them have had to have trips through the pits. So the end of another lap of racing, and Krop has dropped back from Ragosa significantly. I think Krop made a mistake on that last lap because Ragosa is now leading by 1.5 seconds. Stevens a little way back, so the top 3 a little spread out right now. Very spread out they've been so far in this race. Then you've got the 2 THRs. And then McGorgy and Patterson, of course, did get past Kardash, so they're now fighting over 6th rather than 7th. On the exit, McGorgy will get a good run. Now we're, of course, watching a battle that's going on slightly further down right now. But I'm going to keep an eye on McGorgy versus Patterson because... And Stevens is alongside Krop. We're on the outside. Contact! Oh no! Stevens is sideways, and he's going to be... Wow, he keeps it on the road just about. That was well held. Maguire now on the outside. He's on the curb. That's dangerous. Stevens versus Maguire, side by side towards the Rint curve. And it's Maguire who will take third. Now, who would you put that on? Stevens or Krupp? I'm going to take a quick look back at that. They were side by side, going into the corner, and that's because Krupp actually made a mistake. He ran wide and into the gravel in the slush goal, and then they banged wheels once, twice, 3 times, 4 times maybe. But he's not giving up yet. Look at this, Tom Stevens not giving up on the back of Luke Maguire. Trouble is, you don't want to go for a dive bomb, because if you do, you find yourself offline on the wetter patch, and the car becomes a water ski. But you're there not able to get past Stevens either, but got very close. Goodness, this is a fast-paced race. Michal Galka, I'm afraid, has just become our third retirement from this race, because Michael Teichmann's also out. Let me take a quick look at that. Well, Galka was fighting with someone else. One of the ST cars. He was fighting with Mark Fuller, or I think P18, and spun the car around. Now, he was one of the drivers on slick tyres. I think that proved to be a mistake for Michal Galka. And Kasper Michalak also out of the race now. Yes, indeed. So 4 drivers out. It was a very standard incident for Michalak. Just spun it on the exit of the S's, and then Teichmann's more interesting because he isn't registered as being out of the race right now. So I wonder if that was maybe a disconnection for him. Yes, that does appear to have been the case. He seems to have had a very... Oh no, wow, that's a weird one. Well, actually... Oh, sorry, as we're missing Butcher going alongside Stevens, and Butcher's got 4th place there. So, yes, Chris Butcher has got through into 4th position as we've been speaking. Sorry for missing that. But you saw it on the stream. And that was well executed from Chris Butcher there. So I just want to quickly say, what happened to Teichmann is he crashed on the way into the pit lane, and his car kind of teleported through the floor, which is a big shame for him, because it means he's out of the race when he really shouldn't be. But anyway, he had damage anyway. So another lap, and Ragosa now leads by 7 seconds. Wow! Ragosa on a charge. Krupp side by side with Butcher. Krupp got a bad exit. Butcher is going for 3rd. And gets it into turn 2. He was on the wet patch a little, but he's okay. And it's now 2 THRs on the podium once again. And they go after Ragosa. It's going to be a tough ask. Ragosa is a long way away. Yeah, that was just a little mistake from Krupp there. Got very twitchy through turn 1. And after that, the THR drivers just had so much speed on the straight. There was no holding them back. Rance and Klon are side by side, so are Sutton and Koenig. Same point on the road. Both pairs get away with it. Klon and Sutton both winning their respective fights. So it's a good time to be a red and white liveried car. I always think of those as the standard Supercup colours. To be honest, a lot of the cars come in those colours. And Krupp's in the pits. He doesn't appear to have had an accident. So is he going onto a different compound of tyre? He's going onto slicks. Moritz Krupp is one of the first leaders to switch onto slick tyres. He feels that the time is right, but this is a big risk. He was struggling a little in his fight to keep the THR guys back, but now that he's off the podium, feels that it's worth the risk of going onto slicks. Whoa, that's very slidey on the exit of the pits. Well, now he's on the dry line, so this will help him more. But that was a little worrying on the exit of the pits there, seeing him sliding about. Is this too early? Or is this a stroke of genius? He's had a few strokes of genius recently. He's been on the podium in race 2 the last 3 times out. There are yellow flags, but not for Crop. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that one. Up in front, the THR guys are getting away from Stevens, but not really gaining on Ragosa. Ragosa still holds the fastest lap of the race, and his last lap was faster than the THR's. So I think Ragosa has a perfect wet weather setup here, or at least a lot better than what THR has. And he seems to be confident in these conditions. And honestly, I don't think THR will be too bummed out about a quadruple podium it'll be. Liam Rant's about to pass Meadowcon. Or at least take a look. Oh, that's slidey! Yep. That's what I was saying earlier. If you get off the line, you're on the wet patch. And they touched. And they nearly touch again, but get away with it. And an incident for Antonio Kralinovic. He appears to have lost his front wing somewhere out on track. And he is now stone last out of all the drivers still remaining in the race. And he actually came together with, is that Tom Ely again? Oh, it better not be. That would be a big shame. I think it was actually. Yep, Tom Ely had a spin on slick tyres, so Ely's also on slicks. And then Kralinovic just couldn't avoid him. And the wet's obviously too much for Tom Ely's car. Let's take a look at how Crop's doing. I don't think he's spun yet. Let's see what his first lap time is on those slick tyres. So you're actually watching a slightly more important battle, so sorry about that. But Crop's lap, it's the fastest. It's the fastest lap out of everyone. It's slick tyre time. But are others going to risk coming in and swapping? Crop just went the fastest of anyone. So obviously the track is drying out. And someone's off there down at the S's. Colin Batiak, I think. Indeed. Returns to the race in P22. Now, is Crop the only driver on slicks right now? No, he's not, because Matiak, who just spun, is also on slicks. So slicks are good if you can pull them off, but it's going to be tough to do so. Vicente Jevic on slicks, but on hards, interestingly. Of course, Crop, who's the fastest, is on the soft compound of tyre. McGuire and Butcher just set their personal best laps of the race each that last time around. And gained about half a second on Ragosa. Still, it wouldn't be enough even if they were to do that every single lap from now. They'd get very close. They wouldn't pass Alexander Ragosa. Meanwhile, Tom Ely, I'm afraid, is out of the race. And I can't say I'm too surprised about that because unfortunately he has been having a couple of issues today despite his impressive speed. That's what the yellow flags you just witnessed were for. Yellow flags keep popping up actually. Sector 1. I don't see any cars off at turn 1 right now. And Sector 1 is pretty much only turn 1 actually. Stevens got very close to... not Stevens, sorry. McGorgy got very close to Patterson. So they now are fighting over P5. I don't think McGorgy's going to get a podium, but P5 or P4 is still very impressive. I wonder what will happen if he gets onto the back of Tom Stevens, actually. Whether they'll let him go as the faster driver, or whether Stevens will say, "Gotta fight for it, mate." Again, all these yellow flags popping up. Anyway, Kralinovic just retired from this race. So 22 cars remaining, I'm afraid. A little bit less attrition than I was maybe expecting, but these are very, very good drivers. Even the drivers at the back of the field are impressive enough to get that. Patterson, McGorgy and Kardash very close on the exit of turn 1. Right over in the wet patch. I wonder if they're deliberately avoiding the dry bit to get some water on their wet tyres. See that more in real life, but anyway. The sun is well and truly out there, look at that. The track's still damp, but the sun is out. And that's going to put a cloud, no pun intended, over the race of everyone on wet tyres right now. Who's that spinning? That's a driver who's a lap down, who luckily stays off the racing line in the S's there, but someone went for a big spin. Colin Matiak. He spun there before, actually. That's not the first time. I think Vincent Kiersmix is missing his front wing, I'm afraid. Yes, indeed. We just picked him up on the broadcast. And he's had an incident by himself. And that was actually... that was while he was rejoining after going off at turn 2. And the yellow flags wave once again. I don't want to miss anything between Kardash, Patterson, or between Patterson, McGorgy, and and just I say that Kardash runs into the back of McGorgy, and McGorgy goes around. That is eerily reminiscent of what happened in race 1, as Kardash's teammate Galka ran into the back of McGorgy, and that's a big shame because McGorgy had fought his way right up into 6th position, was looking at 5th, and now he's 10th. And he will be like, what did I do to deserve this? Did I insult Gallery 82's mother? Very unfortunate for Owen McGorgy. And yes, indeed, he's now P10, just behind Menno Klon in the multisports car. We're getting into the latter stages of this race now. Alexander Ragosa is still flying, just set his personal best lap of the race, so despite the fact the track is drying out, the Inters are not done yet. But Moritz Kropp is setting a fastest lap pretty much every lap now. He said it last time. Now he's attacking Mark Fuller for P16. I'm not sure it's going to be worth it for Kropp though, because yes, he pitted at a good time on paper, but he's having to pass so many cars that he's losing time. Going past Mark Fuller on the outside. Oh, they touch! They touch! He's on the grass! But yeah, I can't see him getting any higher than maybe P10 or something, and he would have been P4 otherwise. But yeah, does get past Fuller there. That is, of course, unless masses of people all pit at the same time, because that could swing the race back in his favour. Who's that running off? Matiak struggling again in the S's. It keeps it under control. He is now a lap down. So we're on lap 19 out of 24. The gap for the lead is now 5 seconds, so coming down slightly again between Ragosa and Maguire. I should be saying Ragosa actually rather than Ragosa because it's a Z, but anyway. And of course you have the two THR drivers. Bit of a gap back to Stevens, he's running on his own. By Patterson, Kardash and Muscat. And I've just seen... we just saw someone going off on the stream there. Who was that? red livery car. Scott Sovic there. Not Scott Sovic, sorry. Sovic got past whoever it was. George Sutton, and I'm afraid Sutton is out of the race. So Sutton out of the race, missing his front wing, and that was in the incident that we saw on stream as he was pummeled in the side by Patrick Rojak. That's a shame. And Rojak himself is now in the grass. Bouncing, spinning, and just keeping it out of the wall. But yeah, he's gonna struggle to get points now. Another driver moving slowly out of the final corner, but no, never mind, that was a driver getting out of the way. Colin Matiak's lost his front wing. The number 13 on the front of that car. Not proving particularly lucky for him today, as he got over the curb and spun the rear tyres and got his nose into the wall out of the final corner. Still in the race? Nope, I think he may be pulling off now. Patrick Rojak also pitted after his incident there. So, on to lap 20. We're getting close to the end. There's really not many more chances now. Oh, and Maguire getting all over the grass. Butcher goes to P2. That wasn't team orders there, that was just a mistake from Luke Maguire. Chris Butcher has got past him and into P2 in this race. A driver joins from the pits up ahead of them. Also moved, McGorgy now is passing Shimon Frelick. Makes it stick, nicely done. That's for P8. McGorgy will feel that he's worth a higher position than that, but due to circumstances, he's still in 8th position. Who's that we're watching on the stream? It looks as if Frelick had a go. He tried to get back at McGorgy there. Huh. Didn't manage it anyway, but relatively close. He's still going for it. Good attitude for Frelick not to give up, I suppose, but McGorky is better than to make mistakes in the face of pressure. There's another car off there that we just picked up on stream. That was an incident at the Slosh School. That would have been Patrick Rojak, potentially. No, not Rojak, sorry. Is it Moritz Krop? No, Philip Koenig, sorry. Who, of course, is... No, I think it was... Oh, it was Koenig, and he's actually dropped back from P12. Because he was P12, and he's now P13. Side by side up into Rauch just went. Couple of drivers, it's Patterson and Kardash. Kardash on the inside. And Patterson doesn't make it stick, and they touch wheels. And I can't help but feel that McGorgy would be past these two in a flash at this rate, but anyway. So it's Kardash P5, Patterson P6 now. And it may well stay that way because we're in the very late stages of this race. Oh, and a spin on the stream. Was that Philip Koenig, I'm afraid? No, it wasn't. It was Kropp. Oh no, well, Kropp's still off there. He's touched the wall while trying to rejoin. And who's that dropping down the order? Someone else is dropping. Oh, Patterson dropped. Patterson dropped P10. Because Patterson had a similar incident. Oh, he had one at the final corner. So Patterson... Yes, oh wow, he got almost airborne on the inside there while trying to cut the turn. Spun the car around, got a tag. Tag from Muscat. And Muscat lost places in that as well. So McGorgy's now 6th with Muscat 7th and Patterson down to 10th. It's still pretty difficult out there, still pretty treacherous, with drivers having slides and spins and getting in each other's way. Meanwhile, with that spin for Moritz Krupp and his P12 position, I don't think he will feel that the slick tyres did help him in the long run. Rogos is actually being passed by a driver on slick tyres. That's a driver who's a lap down. Mika Hakimi there just overtook Alexander Ragosa and then let him straight back through again. This isn't for the lead of the race, of course. Ragosa is still leading, but Hakimi a lap down, just showing him that the slick tyres are faster. And Hakimi has the fastest lap of the race. He's not inside the points, but showing what he can do. 113.369 is his lap. Oh, but he's getting very sideways, and that's the disadvantage of getting a line wrong. Oh, nearly comes back onto the track in the way of the THR drivers, who are side by side, incidentally, and Maguire takes second. Anyway, Alexander Ragosa out of the final corner will win a fantastic Supercup race. Has done a wonderful job to get there. The THR drivers swapped, so it looks as if they prioritised. Well, it looks as if Maguire will get second, followed by Butcher, but it's a double podium, a quadruple podium, you could say, for THR. Then it's Tom Stevens, Damien Kardash, Owen McGorgy, Jason Muscat, Shimon Frelick, Benno Klont. Craig Patterson will be P10 after that incident, and it's Liam Rantz, Philip Koenig, Mark Fuller, then Moritz Krupp, who might get Fuller out of the final corner, will he? On the slick tyres. He's got the traction, but didn't end up getting alongside. He very, very nearly did. Just missed out on Fuller there. And Vincent Gutt will claim the final point in P15. Just missing out will be Scott Sovic, then Mihailo Vicentijevic. Rojak will spin. Now Rojak's actually just taken the fastest lap, the lap before that spin. 1:11.607, so despite the fact he didn't get points, at least he can say he achieved something in that race. And then Mika Hakimi will be P19, followed by Colin Matiak in P20, and then of course the DNFs were Sutton, Kiersmakers, Frelinovic, Ely, Galka, Michalak, Teichmann, and Fernandez. So that's the lot, but again, don't go anywhere. We have some interviews with the top drivers coming up. Leave in the comments who was your driver of the day today. Honestly, I'm not sure about driver of the day, but my team of the day was THR. I'm actually going to give my driver of the day to Chris Butcher for the second race or the second round in a row. Butcher, or at least I think I gave it to him at Azerbaijan, but yeah, Butcher very, very strong. Now he actually passed Maguire on that last lap before Maguire passed him back again. It looks like they swapped about 3 or 4 times that last lap. That's weird. Neither of them wanted to finish ahead. Huh. Very strange. Wait, no, that was the end lap. Sorry, I'm being really dozy there. Okay, so we now do have the THR guys. Let's bring them in to the broadcast room. First of all, Luke Maguire, second in both races. Is that disappointing for you since you didn't quite manage a win, or are you just happy with the massive points haul?
No, I'm happy with second and second, especially in the race twos. I seem to be struggling a lot on them, but good engineering today by Toby and David kept my head cool and got a nice P2 in both races. As you probably see, me and Chris were just trying to build a gap and hold station and just get some good points for the team. So that was all premeditated, I guess. So we're happy.
Luke, this is supposedly a single make racing series, although you seem to have, or your team seem to have the fastest car by quite a margin. How did you do it?
Just lots of feedback on setups, lots of laps, lots of working together. I also, everyone every time we come on an interview, we always mention it, but we've a great setup guru in Tom Ely, and we've Toby, pushing us to do more laps, and even if we are quickest, we want to make sure we are the quickest on the day.
Indeed. And that race too as well. The conditions treacherous, changing the whole way through. Did you ever consider starting on slicks or going for slicks later, or was it into all the way?
No, we had a big kind of not an argument, but a very big difference of opinion in the very start of that race. 50-50 for softs and inters, but I think we made the right call. I think it would have been very dangerous to do the softs and try stay on that dry line, but play it safe. We did a good race one. No point risking it in race two.
I think you did as well. We will speak to the other THR driver later on of Chris Butcher, but first I want to speak to the team boss, Toby Davis. So first of all, thank you very much for the interview, Luke Maguire, and congratulations on your double podium.
Cheers. Thank you.
That was Luke Maguire. We do have Toby Davis, the THR team manager here. Toby, you must be over the moon. That's a quadruple podium.
I have to say, since we sort of reignited THR's flame, me and Chris set the team up 11 years ago now, and we had a couple of years out, but we sort of started it back up again. I never dreamt to be in this position in the GPVWC career ladder. I thought we sort of ease our way in, see what we could do, but we've got all the good guys around us. Dave's been wonderful for us as a sort of Supercup manager, and obviously Luke and Chris are, I would say, excellent drivers. They have been all season, and they obviously were in Super League last season, and they showed that they had flashes of pace there. But the key to our story has been Tom Ely all season. He's been excellent and absolutely over the moon with where we are, and how well the boys are doing. And yeah, it's been fantastic to come back to sim racing with the THR name and still be as successful as we were 5 or 6 years ago.
Toby, let me give you some stats quickly. Luke Maguire, of course, has 4 victories. Chris Butcher has 8 podiums in a row. You're leading this championship by over 100 points. That is your team's championship. Surely it's yours to lose now, right?
Yeah, we're not. It's very early in the season still. A lot can happen. The biggest job for me, I think, will be to keep the boys happy and keep working for the team. We'll worry about championship positions later on in the season when we've actually got ourselves into that position. But I think everyone's focused in the team to continue hunting for as many points as possible for THR, and that's great to see. And I think Chris and Luke showed that today by swapping positions, trying different things in both races, and then reneging on their positions and making sure that they gave them back to each other. It's been great to see the teamwork throughout this season, and long may it continue for us. But today was good races generally, and I think it was interesting with the wet weather and seeing what people did, and we've certainly learned a bit to take through the next few rounds as well.
Indeed, and you did the right thing. Well, congratulations on your quadruple podium, your race 1 win, and your comfortable championship lead.
Thank you, Caitlin. It's a long way to go in the season.
Anyway, talking of that race 1 win, let's speak to the driver who bagged it. Chris Butcher, are you there?
Hello.
So, Chris, race 1 victory, third in race 2, and I'm pretty sure that you're still in the lead of the championship. How does that feel? And what have you got to say about it?
Yeah, really, really good, and I'm really happy that I've finally got a feature race win. So huge positive there. But there was a bit of change of tactics for us on the lead up to this. Rather than focusing on race runs early on, we did a lot of me in particular anyway. I did quite a lot of qualifying practice because that's been a bit of a weak point for me so far this season. and it definitely paid off. But yeah, we've done a lot of practice, and really happy to get the feature race win, and then fight through the field on the reverse grid to get another podium in race 2. It was great fun, and I have to say thanks to Luke for being a team player in race 1 and giving me the position back, and obviously I did the same for him in race 2. So like Toby said, it's just a case of playing the team game for now, and bagging as many points as we can, and then we'll sort of worry about our own individual fights later on in the season.
Indeed. So, what was going on with team orders today? Because I saw that you guys swapped a couple of times in both races, actually.
Well, it wasn't really any team orders as such. We sort of made an agreement that we wouldn't really race each other, but there was a couple of stages in race 1 and in race 2 where we felt the other driver was faster. So it was more a case of not holding each other up and just trying to get the ultimately the fastest race time. And when it was clear, particularly in race 2, that we weren't going to catch Rigosa for the lead, it was only fair to switch back, because like I said, Luke did that for me in race 1. And yeah, like I say, it's just a case of equal opportunity for both drivers, and making sure that we can gap the field, and not really take any risks with each other for the time being.
Thank you, and good luck in your future races.
Thanks very much, Caitlin.
And last but very much not least, we can speak to the HGP driver, Tom Stevens. Tom, are you there?
Yeah, hello.
Fantastic. So, not quite any podiums for you today, but you were right up there in both races and got very, very close. How do you feel?
Well, at the start of race 1, I lost out a bit to Moritz and Damien, but I felt the pace was there, and there was a mistake on my side. I kind of underfueled the car, and I could have gone quite a bit longer on the first stint, which Cardaz ended up getting me on the overcut, which so that set me back. But I do feel that if it didn't start raining, I maybe could have challenged him for a podium. But yeah, that's how it goes.
It is indeed, but you were still right up there fighting for positions. Talk us through that intense fight you find yourself in the middle of.
Well, yeah, it was THR. They had solid pace up front, and well, it was just, yeah, it was sort of just keeping in the DRS train and just like catching people out, like when they make mistakes, and then going for the opportunity. But then in race 2, it was, well, I think I put a little bit too much on the setup, and I definitely had a straight line speed deficit. And yeah.
Fantastic. Well, you did a really good job today anyway, and congrats on your points.
Thank you very much.
So that was Tom Stevens, and that is the end of the broadcast today. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope you all had fun. It's been a very, very exciting couple of races, but the Red Bull Ring always provides that. It's honestly one of my favorite circuits for GPVWC racing and sim racing in general. Thank you very much to Jack Mayer for doing the cameras. It was actually his first time doing the cameras today, and I'm sure you'll agree that that he did a pretty good job, and also streamed the whole thing, so couldn't have done it without you, Jack. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time for another round of GPVWC Super Cup. Good night.